Good evening, and welcome to Inside News. I'm Alexa, bringing you the stories that matter on this Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. Tonight, we examine the events dominating global attention and those critical developments that deserve greater scrutiny. We begin with tonight's major developments. Russia launched a devastating assault on Ukraine today, killing at least 6 people, including 2 children. Explosions rocked Kiev, with fires breaking out across the capital as attacks targeted energy infrastructure, damaging facilities in Poltava and leaving thousands without power. President Zelensky stated that Moscow appears increasingly resistant to diplomatic solutions, particularly after the U.S. declined to supply long-range Tomahawk missiles. President Trump announced his planned summit with Putin has been canceled, calling it potentially a waste of time. The Budapest meeting was postponed indefinitely after Moscow rejected ceasefire calls. Preparatory talks between Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov were also postponed. Turning to France, former President Nicolas Sarkozy has begun serving a 5-year sentence for campaign finance conspiracy, while authorities continue investigating the audacious Louvre heist. Our focus shifts to the Middle East. Vice President JD Vance arrived in Israel expressing optimism about the U.S. brokered ceasefire, though Washington won't set a deadline for Hamas to disarm. Israeli authorities identified 2 additional hostages released by Hamas, including 85-year-old Aryeh Zalmanovich, the oldest captive from the October 7, 2023 attacks. Violence continues in the occupied West Bank. The UN documented a 13% rise in Israeli settler attacks against Palestinians in early 2025, with 757 incidents resulting in injuries or property damage. This year's olive harvest has seen over 700 olive trees destroyed in more than 150 assaults. We move now to Asia Pacific. Sanae Takaichi has been elected Japan's first female prime minister, succeeding Shigeru Ishiba. The 64-year-old conservative appointed Satsuki Katayama as Japan's first female finance minister and forged an alliance with the Japan Innovation Party to pursue reforms. Next, developments in the Korean Peninsula. North Korea conducted its first ballistic missile tests in 5 months, launching multiple short-range missiles that flew approximately 350 kilometers. This comes days before President Trump attends the APEC summit in South Korea. From Asia Pacific to the Americas, the federal government shutdown has entered its 22nd day, the second longest in modern history. Over 750,000 federal employees have been furloughed. If it continues through November 5th, it will become the longest shutdown in U.S. history. Moving to Central America, Guatemala passed sweeping anti-gang legislation designating Barrio 18 and Mara Salvatrucha as terrorist organizations. The law increases prison sentences and orders construction of a specialized prison, gaining momentum after 20 gang members escaped earlier this month. In South America, Peru's president, José Jerry, declared a 30-day state of emergency in Lima to combat rising crime. That concludes our main coverage. Now, stories that need your attention. Ivory Coast votes Saturday in a presidential election overshadowed by generational tensions and violence fears. President Alassane Ouattara, 83, seeks an unprecedented 4th term despite fierce opposition, arguing his candidacy violates democratic principles. The government deployed 44,000 security forces and banned election-related protests. Opposition leaders, including former President Gbagbo, have been excluded from the race. The election unfolds against memories of the 2010 to 2011 crisis that killed 3,000 people. Young Ivorians view Ouattara's bid as a symbol of gerontocracy blocking their future. Tanzania's October 29th election approaches under systematic repression. Human Rights Watch documented enforced disappearances, torture, and intimidation targeting opponents, journalists, and activists. Opposition leader Tundu Lissu faces treason charges in what observers consider political prosecution. Kenyan and Ugandan activists observing Lissu's trial were arrested, allegedly tortured, and deported. The Legal and Human Rights Center documented 100 violations between 2015 and 2025. Former Ambassador Humphrey Popo disappeared in October 2025, while opposition member Mohamed Kao was found dead in September 2024. From Ukraine's resilience to Ivory Coast's generational struggle, from Tanzania's democratic crisis to North Korea's provocations, tonight's events remind us that information itself has become a battleground. At Inside News, we illuminate not just what happens, but what it means. Thank you for your attention. Good journey to all, and we'll see you tomorrow.